Today, I want to talk to you about 5 reasons if you're a cybersecurity student or you're doing a transition into the cybersecurity field, why you should learn how to program. Now, this is a very important topic to me. I take this very personal because if it wasn't for programming, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I wouldn't have transitioned out of the Marine Corps, and I would have never found my purpose when it came to the technology field and cybersecurity. So, I can go in a whole other video when it comes to how programming honestly changed my life. But for this time, or this moment in time, we're just going to talk about the 5 reasons why you should learn how to program. So the first reason is programming, automation is the big talk when it comes to cybersecurity. And yes, I understand ChatGPT, artificial intelligence are also on that spectrum as well. But automation is vitally important when it comes to cybersecurity. Being able to automate tasks, being able to get things done, by saving the company time and your team time by just writing a line of code is going to be by far one of the most vital assets to your team. So understanding the fundamentals of automation and being able to build a little bit of task using Python or Golang or whatever your preferred programming language is going to be, it's going to be a technical skill that's going to cause you great, investment in your time. Because you're not going to be wasting your time trying to figure out, let's hire more people, or, let's just, do this. And it's like, I can just automate the task. You don't have to do it, I'll automate it. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason why you should learn how to program is it really makes you understand the concepts of critical thinking. And the reason why I say this is because when you're learning how to program, when you're learning the logic when it comes to actually learning how to code, there's a difference between a coder and there's a difference with a programmer. A programmer actually understands logic. He understands how to fundamentally build programs to perform tasks. And they understand the back end of what's going under the hood with their code. A coder just writes code. Now, when you have a programmer mindset, when you're utilizing your logical thinking when it comes to building these projects, it's going to help you think even larger in a bigger spectrum when it comes to even your personal life. For me, for example, when I learned how to program, my way of thinking changed. I started thinking more logically and why I would do things. And that really helped me cut out a lot of bad habits I had in my life because I always thought in a logical standpoint. Does this make sense? Is the outcome of what I'm about to do right now going to benefit me or is it not going to benefit me? I was thinking much more on a deeper level. And that's one of the reasons why it really helped me because, as I said before I learned how to program, I'll be honest, my life wasn't, where it's at right now. I was still in the Marine Corps at the time, but I wasn't thinking at the level that I think now. I wasn't speaking the way that I speak now. So the third reason why you should also learn how to program is because if you're a cybersecurity student, it's going to make you stand out. And this is the biggest reason I tell people when they ask me, what course should I take? What subscription should I get? What certificate should I study for? I mean, the first thing you should do is work in your professional brand. Because that's the all-around spectrum, in my opinion, of your character and you as a person. And being able to present that to somebody is going to be vital when it comes to getting an interview and even in general, somebody wanting to interview you, right? The second thing is you should learn how to program. You should learn Python, you should learn Golang, PowerShell, Bash, whatever your preferred programming language is. It can be any programming language. It doesn't have to be one programming language. Learn how to program. Learn the fundamentals of programming. Learn the fundamentals of a function. Learn the fundamentals of a class, a struct, right? If and else statements. Learn all of that. Build some projects. Get a GitHub portfolio. And be able to speak on what you're building and present that to whether that be a hiring manager or whether that be your friends. And be able to explain that logic and then keep doing that. Because that's really going to build a technical skill, especially when it comes to knowing automation, that's going to help you stand out from anybody else that doesn't know how to program. Because there's plenty of cybersecurity professionals that just focus on the security plot. They focus on network security. They focus on, the domains of cybersecurity. It's like, don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. But learning how to program is just as vital as learning all of those skills. Just as learning Linux is pretty important when you're in cybersecurity, learning how to program is pretty important. Because you got to think as well, Metasploit, Nmap, SQL map, all those tools were built by programmers. They were built by developers. And there were developers that specialized in cybersecurity concepts. So that's why it's so important when you know how to program within the security field, because it makes you stand out, and especially when it comes to wanting to break into this field, transition to it. I understand that when, computer science majors, they focus a lot on the programming concept. They focus on algorithms, data structures. I honestly feel that if you're going to be working yourself into the cybersecurity field, you shouldn't have to know data structure algorithms. If you want to learn it, I learned it. I didn't get that far with it, but I was already learning it when I was working on my transition, when I was, building my programming skills, because it helped me with my logical thinking. You don't have to, but you should learn the basics of scripting. You should learn the basics of automation, and that should be a necessity when it comes to anybody working in the cybersecurity field. Whether you be in an entry level, intermediate, or a professional position, there's going to be at some point in your time in your career where you're going to have to know a little bit of scripting. You're going to have to know a little bit of automation. So that is my big, like number 3 is big. That is by far one of the biggest reasons. It's just an easy way to make you stand out. It's an easy way to make you separate from the crowd, knowing how to automate and program. My 4th reason on why you should learn how to program is, honestly, it can be fun, but it can also be very stressful. And now, the reason why I say this is because you're going to go through situations where you're writing a program and you're going to realize that, it doesn't run, or it crashes constantly, and you're trying to figure out what the bug is or how you should resolve it. And now it's a little bit different. You have ChatGPT, and honestly, ChatGPT does a decent job when it comes to finding those little things. But at least when I was learning how to program, I would run into bugs, and then I would be on Stack Overflow, throw a question on there, and then wait a little bit, see if they responded back to my question. And you know what? Sometimes it wouldn't even work, and then it was like, okay, I'm back to square one again. So it can be really frustrating, and I think one of the most important skills to have is being persistent when it comes to learning how to program, because you're going to run through obstacles like that. You're going to run into situations where, your script or your task that you're building is just going to run through problems, and you got to be able to problem solve it and break it down line by line and try to figure out what the issue, root cause is. So it can be a little bit stressful. It can, not be easy in the beginning, but it's doable, and it has a very promising reward. And my 5th reason why you should learn how to program is, my 5th reason is it's just one of those skills that is just going to help you in life. It's going to help you in general. Whether you're in cybersecurity, whether you're in technology, whether you're in IT, it's just going to help you, And I think it's vitally important. Now, one of the things that you should understand is you just have to code. And I understand, like I said, there's a difference between a coder and a programmer. But in the beginning, you should just be writing code. You should just be learning the concepts. And there's no quick way to learn how to program. It took me almost a year. I would say probably even longer. It took me probably longer than a year to get really decent at it. And there wasn't no point in time where I felt like I was a master or I was some sort of, Jedi in programming. It never was like that. And it was just constantly writing code. It was constantly writing programs. And there's ways to make yourself learn those concepts, such as blogging, such as telling your friends about what you're doing, starting a group chat, right? There's constant ways, and there's plenty of people on YouTube that, they YouTube their whole entire journey and then learn how to program. There are ways to help you learn how to program, and those are some ways that some people, go about their journey. For me, I was just programming. I was just coding. And it got to the point where I was, starting to break down the logic for what I was writing. And I wanted a deeper level and a deeper sense of what I was learning. So I went to algorithms and data structures. I started there for a little bit. And then once I got comfortable with that, because like I said before, I didn't start out with Python. I started out with Swift. I started with iOS development. And once I got incredibly comfortable with the concepts when it came to data structures and algorithms, I then went to Swift Combine, which is a framework for Swift, and I was learning how APIs work. I was learning a little bit on the fundamentals behind, pipelines and everything as such. So I was expanding my knowledge when it came to programming, and that as well. Eventually, I switched to Python. And when I went to Python, I didn't really struggle too much because I already understand some of the concepts when it came to programming. I already understood functions. Yes, the syntax is different, but the concepts of programming will never change. So I didn't really struggle as much when I went to Python, just because I started out with iOS development. Swift and Python are two different, types of languages, but the programming concepts behind them never change. And as I said before, it's just one of those skills, as I said, it's going to help you in life, and it's going to help you drastically. It's a high-paying technical skill. Regardless, yes, we have ChatGPT, and it writes code for us, but the code ChatGPT writes sometimes it does not even make sense, to be very honest with you. And you can't rely on ChatGPT because there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. There's plenty of ways to write a program. And ChatGPT, like I said, it'll write the program, but it's going to, once in a while, there's going to be bugs in it. And it's much better when you're learning, by yourself. To balance AI while you're learning, that's a great thing, And I think ChatGPT is a great... Those are some of my reasons. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great Sunday.